The end of the world has fascinated us. The world destroyed after a catastrophic event, leaving the survivors in a cold, harsh world where it is kill or be killed, with the survivors dodging mutant monsters, tribes of raiders, and a world completely damned. Nothing shows this post-apocalyptic world better than the classic favorite film, A Boy and His Dog. Okay, well maybe not classic favorite film, but definitely a film that shows the wacky, zany, and brutal nature of humanity, and is a huge inspiration to the post-apocalyptic genre in all. A Boy and His Dog was released on March 15, 1975, directed by Western actor turned director L.Q. Jones, and based on a novella written by Harold Ellison, whose other works include Repent, Harley Quinn, Said the TikTok Man, and one of my personal favorite stories, I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream. For a side note about this video, I will only be directly talking about the film version of A Boy and His Dog and not the novella written by Ellison. I knew of the film A Boy and His Dog from the connections that were made from the popular post-nuclear RPG game Fallout and the film. As a massive Fallout fan, I always had the movie in the back of my head, so I recently gave it a watch, and oh boy was I dazzled when I watched it. I've watched a lot of movies over the years, and not a lot make me want to make a full video about discussing the meaning, story, and influence, but here I am making this video about this film. So the film takes place in 2024 AD after a nuclear war that had lasted 5 days took place in 2007, leaving the world in a total wasteland. We follow 18-year-old survivor Vic, played by Don Johnson, and his dog, voiced by Tim McIntyre, whom can speak to each other telepathically.
Yes, I can tell that you would. I can tell by your short breath and your disgusting aggressive behavior that you would. And that's because you're not a nice person, Albert. You're not a nice person at all.
Vic helps Blood find food, and Blood helps Vic find women that he can take advantage of. As the three most important things in the end of the world, Ellison says, is food, weapons, and women. After finding a woman in a sunken gymnasium, Vic meets Quilla June Holmes, played by Susan Benton, and is about to force himself on her, when she begins to ask questions and the two converse before a group of raiders come to attack the gym. Blood, Vic, and Quilla fight off the raiders until mutant creatures named Screamers show up and scare away the raiders. While waiting in the gymnasium while the mutants are outside, Vic and Quilla engage in consensual sex while Blood waits in disgust. Quilla explains to Vic that she is from the Down Under, which is a large underground bunker full of people, and most importantly for Vic, full of women. Vic has issues going, but before he can decide, Quilla knocks him out and leaves. Vic follows her to the Down Under, but Blood won't follow him, and says that he will wait as long as he can.
And I'll miss you, Vic. I'll really miss you.
Vic follows Quilla down to the bunker but is caught. He enters into an underground pre-nuclear war 1950-esque city of citizens who wear white faces, and the place is run by the committee. Those who misbehave go to the farm to be executed. It is revealed Quilla actually led Vic down here for his purpose to breed with other women because of his genes, almost like a racehorse. Vic is excited about his new job until it is revealed that he will conduct the breeding through an electro-ejaculation machine, and he will be sent to the farm afterward. Quilla rescues him and exclaims that she actually brought him down for her own purpose, to start a coup. She wants Vic to help her kill the committee members so that she can take over. Vic is not interested in politics and wants to see blood again. He denies her, and Vic watches as Quilla's friends are murdered. Vic kills Michael, a committee henchman who is revealed to be in fact a robot. Quilla confesses her love for Vic and pleads for them to leave now that her plan has failed. They leave and find a dying Blood of starvation. Quilla pleads Vic to leave, but off-screen Vic kills and cooks Quilla for Blood to eat, and the two walk off into the wasteland together. Now you understand why I say this is a wild story. What Ellison and Jones do with the story is discuss the breakdown of human society, ethics and morals, and the animalistic state humanity can be in with and without order. When nuclear war engulfs the world, the film shows that humans will become somewhat barbaric and resort to some form of structure or faction. That in the wasteland, wacky and zany groups with an idealistic style point of view will appear to create a new normal and offer survival. Rather that be people dressing like kings and admirals, with those who serve them resorting back to the times of kings and peasants, or creating a business of sorts to grab food and resources to show capitalism of supply and demand is still a value in the wasteland, letting other people get your food rather than yourself, or raiders planning to steal food from others. And lastly, erecting a twisted, idealistic community based on the ideas of post-World War II American dreams, which now has been flipped to what I can only explain as an American nightmare. People crawl to different factions which give them the means of survival. hardly questioning the right or wrong of what they are doing, but rather what you have to do to survive. This world is a strange place, and it mirrors our society that we live in today. Vic is not supposed to be the hero of the story. He spends the first act of the movie looking for a woman that he can take advantage of. Vic was raised without parents and mainly during the nuclear wasteland. He was never been taught morals or ethics, and rather has never seen any of it in the wasteland. He's living his life not on the basis of what is right and wrong, but rather the core principles of survival: food, shelter, and reproduction. This is a demonstration of the age-old argument. Does society in order make people be immoral, or does the lack of society in order create those to be immoral?
You cross a mentally ill loner with a society that abandons him and treats him like trash! Call the police, I'll tell you what you get! Call the police! Get what you fucking deserve!
With the lack of society, the people do not have a justification of what is right and wrong, since they have never been taught what is right and wrong. And right and wrong is subjective. During a normal summer day, killing somebody is a wrong act, but during war, killing the enemy is right. Some say the act of drinking and partying is right and fun, while others say that it is wrong and immoral. Different groups have different views, much like the groups of the wasteland, none of them looking at themselves as the barbaric ones. For Vic, the world he lives in, stealing food and shooting raiders, is deemed as right because it aligns with the instincts to survive. This situation has been referenced by famous philosopher Thomas Hobbes in stating in his book Leviathan: "No commonest building, no instruments of moving and removing such things as require much force. No knowledge of the face of the earth, no account of time, no arts, no letters, no society, and which is all worst, continual fear and danger of violent death, and the life of man, solitary, poor, nasty, brutish, in short." The only real voice of humanity in the film is Blood, the dog, showing in this world men are no better than wild dogs chasing after their basic instincts, and Blood, the dog, has evolved to a higher state of being. Vic is not the hero of the story, and this is demonstrated when Quilla tells Vic to help her take over the committee, and Vic exclaims no.
You dirty, filthy, stinking, rotten animal! You stupid animal! You think I let you slobber all over me and paw me so that you could walk out now? I didn't bring you down here so they could use you. I brought you down here so I could use you. And you better kill them, then I don't care what you do! Please! No, don't! Please, darling! Please! I love you! I only said that because you...
Imagine if Max Rockatansky just left the wives of Immersion Joe to his wrath. Max helped them because he has a sense of morality, and that makes him a likable character. He does the right thing because it is the right thing to do. Vic is nothing like Max. Vic is not just an outlaw, but he has no idea what a law even is. The world of the Down Under, also known as Topeka, is an interesting aspect of the film. Earlier I said that each faction doesn't look at itself as barbaric, but rather the peak of what society should be like. The ones in Topeka scoff at the wastelanders above, but as the audience they hold the same, if not more, of a barbaric nature of the king who forces slaves to pull him around and grab food.
Say, farm, immediately.
Then may God have mercy on your soul. Keep the bacon fat reserved in the skillet. Add the hash, and with a spatula spread it evenly in the pan. Add it down. Cook uncovered for moderate heat for 35 to 40 minutes. Shake and occasionally to prevent the hash from sticking.
This is a faction with order and leadership, though their idealistic state has barbaric elements, like forced breeding and execution for disobeying authority. This is a fake world, and as Vic says, it's almost too clean.
Straightforward fight with some son of a bitch over a can of beans. I gotta get back in the dirt so I feel clean.
It is a mask of the perfect world. They wear white faces with smiles to always have the emotion that they are happy in this world. They are fake, much like Michael, who's a robot that stands amongst them, looking absolutely no different from the others in this world. This is a world that has society opposite to what Thomas Hobbes has stated. This world has food, shelter, a justice system, and a leadership system. Their world is the same as many of our lives we live in our own nations, living under a rule of law. To us, though, their way of life is foreign. Their justice and their idea of justice and their idea of marriage and reproduction isn't the same as ours. We come in with Vic, shocked and confused. Both Vic and Topeka are immoral, but which is more? Vic, who has been taught no idea of what moral and ethics are and hunts with basic needs of survival, or Topeka, with a world of order and society, but vote to kill and manipulate their populace to continue their idealistic world. This film has a lot of layers that speak about different aspects of society and relationships around us all. The ending can be looked at as purging evil and temptation. Vic is finally getting rid of the temptation that forced him to leave the one thing in the world that he had loyalty and friendship with. Much like the people in life who abandon close friends and family for new, more exciting things in life, but learn that true loyalty and the ones closest are what truly matter. Or it can be looked at as another brutal act of survival, that love means nothing in the wasteland as it isn't essential for survival. A Boy and His Dog is a film that has a cult following, but it's not as known as works it has inspired, such as Mad Max, who creator George Miller directly referenced the film for inspiration, and video game franchise Fallout, who has referenced the Down Under as inspiration for the vaults, and naming a companion in the game's dog meat, which is a term Vic uses to insult blood in the movie.
Simply say, I'm not kidding.
Fine, dog meat.
Though these are some direct references, this movie has influence that can be seen in many post-apocalyptic and dystopian movies and other works. This movie does what every dystopian movie sets out to do: question what the world would be like at the beginning after the end of the world.